have our panel number 1, Building Strategic Partnerships in Asia Pacific, sponsored by the presidential sponsor of 2015 SAUPO, College of Humanities and Social Sciences. This panel will be moderated by Dean Robin Dorff, Professor of Political Science and International Relations at Kennesaw State. Would you please come to the stage, the 4 speakers and our moderator. Thank you.
Well, good morning, and thank you, May. Always good to take orders from you, which most of us do most of the time, echoing our provost's feelings. Honorable Consul General, I just would like to say, he mentioned his son serving under General Champeau. I had the privilege of being on the faculty and chairing a department at the U.S. Army War College, and as I get on in years, I'm happy to say that Bernie Champeau, Lieutenant General Champeau, is a former student of mine. So it's quite an honor to have you mention him, and I'll be sure to ask Bernie to keep an eye on your son. I'm not going to use any time here as moderator of this panel. We have a timer down here, over here. So I'll remind our presenters this morning that the timers will be there, and May's going to be real close by, so you better stick to the schedule. But we want to give ample time at the end for interaction with all of you. And so with that, and also we'll not spend time introducing each of our speakers. Their names, their affiliations are in the program. I'm just going to jump right in and ask J.R. Wilson to come up and start the panel.
All right, good morning, everyone. I always like leading after Robin because I don't have to adjust the microphone. So, in any case, I'm honored to be here. I'm even more honored to be invited back, or at least so I thought, until May told me I only had 8 minutes. So obviously she wants me to get off the stage as quickly as possible. In any case, truly is, again, great to be here for another year. And I think some of you know me. For those of you that don't, I'm J.R. Wilson. I'm Vice President of Partnerships and Alliances at AT&T. My career is, I spent the last 18 years working in international. I'm very fortunate and very blessed to have that opportunity. One of my jobs at AT&T today is I'm on the board of directors. I'm actually as chairman of an organization called Wireless Broadband Alliance. And that board is represented regionally. So there's 3 seats from the Americas, there's 3 seats from Europe, there's 3 seats from Asia, and then we have 3 seats that are vendors and OEMs. And a couple of years ago, China Mobile, which is the world's largest telecommunication company, at least by subscribers, so over 700 million subscribers, they were hosting our first event in China, in Beijing. And as chairman, I wanted to do something special, so I figured that I would work on my Chinese and open the conference in Chinese. So I did what most of us do, and I spent $500, and I got Rosetta Stone. And in between, helping my wife with dishes and changing diapers, I'd spend 30 minutes a night practicing. So anyway, a couple months before the event, I had some friends from China Unicom, another very large Chinese mobile operator, over to my house for dinner, and I shared with them what it was that I intended to do. And I told them how I'd been practicing a whole lot, and we were drinking some wine, which, by the way, Chinese tradition is you don't drink wine like we do in America, where you put about a quarter full and you sip on it. You fill it about 3/4, and then you just shoot the whole thing. So it's gambé is what they call it. So it wasn't a couple glasses of wine; it was probably a couple bottles of wine, and maybe even a case or 2. So I told them, I've been practicing this, and they said, well, why don't you practice right now? So I said, okay. So I walk through it, and I do my best job, and I get the blank stares followed by a very quick from my dear friend Yan Bo. He said, I think you just swore at me 3 times in Chinese. So I would highly recommend that you don't open the conference in Chinese, which I didn't. I opened it in English. So in any case, I think I probably just burned 4 minutes of my 8 minutes, but I wanted to share that story. So let me walk through with you a couple things. So first is, I'm just going to touch on, AT&T and obviously we're a very global company, a little bit of the global partnerships that we have, including Asia. I'll touch on a couple big trends that are going on in the industry, and then just a few words of wisdom from me that I like to share. So first is, we have a very large cellular business. I've been managing the roaming business at AT&T for a long time. If you want to work international and meet lots and lots of people, go work in roaming, because you basically work across every single operator across the globe. So over the last 10 years, I've worked with at least 700 different companies. Over probably close to a couple hundred of them are in Asia. We're always deploying the next generation of technology, whether that's LTE or 5G. So a lot of partnerships centered around that. Also, Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, we all know this. This has become a very pervasive technology. We've integrated Wi-Fi into the mobile experience, and if you look at Asia, Asia's been very, very progressive in adopting new technology, particularly countries like Korea, where they have this 802.11ac super fast Wi-Fi, things like 500 megabits a second. Also, machine-to-machine, commonly known as Internet of Things. This business is growing very rapidly. So this is connected cars, connected watches, connected medical devices, and you can go down the list. Basically, anything that has a pulse or a current, it's being connected. So AT&T has business today in Asia supporting a lot of these different applications. Also, we have a joint venture in China. I think we're the only American telecom company that has any such relationship, at least equity type ownerships in China. I also run a cruise ship business for AT&T called Wireless Maritime Services. We've got big partners like Royal and Carnival and Norwegian. We also have a really big one called Star in China. So a couple emerging trends. If you haven't figured out by now, we're in the middle of a technological revolution, and the pace of change is radical, and even saying it's radical is an understatement. Internet of Things is one of the drivers behind that, and when I think about Internet Things, I think about global connectivity. Effectively, all the business is global, and it's being led by large enterprise. And when they're looking to deploy solutions and applications around the globe, they want it to be as simple and as efficient as possible. So think, big centralized platforms that there's very complex, but the objective is to bring the product to market at scale, at low cost, and keep it as simple as possible. So even a connected car, you want to be able to support that business in China, Japan, Korea, every country across Asia. And with a centralized platform, you do all your development up top one time. You don't keep repeating the investment in each and every country. That becomes very expensive, very inefficient. But really, when I think of IoT, I think about innovation and also disruption. There's a lot of disruption going on in our business, and you see it with companies like Uber and Tesla, even Udacity, Sebastian Thrun and what they're doing with education. So this is a big part of our business, and it's going to impact every single one of us. Another area of business is video. You can't deny the growth in video. If you look at AT&T's network, more than 50% of the data is being driven by video, and that's why we're making big investments in things like DirecTV. We believe a lot of that video and content is going to come over the top. That means that it'll be available regardless of what screen you have or where you are. So you could be anywhere around the globe, and whether it's your tablet, your smartphone, or your car. So I just highlight one particular investment, and that's with Chernin and a group called Outer Media. That's the joint venture we have. You see a couple of the content providers that we effectively own. Crunchyroll, K-Drama. I'm quite certain that they are not Denmark companies. So to wrap up, keys to success. I know that these are common sense, but I'm repeating myself from last year, but I only tend to repeat myself when it's really important, and also you wouldn't you'd be surprised at how many times people miss just the basic things. So business understanding, you know, these are just my personal learnings. You know, I encourage everyone, I mean, you got to get into the details. It's always the little, you know, nooks and crannies in a negotiation or discussion that always end up being highly relevant. That could be the part that makes or breaks the deal. So very important. And building relationships, I just highlight this perspective. You know, we live in this world of email, and it's really easy to type out these notes, and you know, people get kind of ear muscles, and you say things in email that you wouldn't say if you were sitting across the table from someone, or it gets misinterpreted. So I think it's really important. You got to pick up the phone, you got to get on a plane, you got to sit face to face with someone. I always encourage my people to do that. Obviously, mutual benefit, honesty, and trust. I mean, these are just imperatives, but at the same time, in my experience, I still have those situations where you're in a negotiation or you're trying to put together a really big deal, and you step back and say, you know, I really don't trust that person. And it's largely because of conduct, and it could be you know, people embellish things, or they're bluffing, and you know, that stuff always ends up bubbling up to the top, and you know, it's just actions speak louder than words, as we all know. Humor, so you know, this is critically important, and you know, we're not always funny, and different cultures, you know, view humor differently. I know my boss, his name's Bill Hague, he sits on the board of directors of the GSM Association, which is the world's largest trade association. It's very global, and I saw him, you know, he always tries to get to know everyone. He's just a very nice, very friendly guy, and the senior guy from NTT Docomo, his name's Kisan, and I'd watched my boss, you know, try to make a joke and talk about ham radio. I guess Kisan was really into ham radio. And I saw him trying this for years and years and years. And I was at this board dinner, and someone at the board dinner mentioned, you know, that cultures view humor differently, and some things in the U.S. are not funny, and the English can be really dry, and JR, you're really dry. So anyway, Kisan jumps up, you know, highly animated, and he's speaking in Japanese, and his translator jumps up as well, and he says, oh yeah, Kisan said he completely agrees. You know, some things in the U.S. are definitely not funny in other cultures. For example, Bill, in Japan, you are not funny. So, in any case, I'll end on that note. I see the stop sign. I very much look forward to the panel and taking questions. Thanks.
Thank you for that great start. Great appreciated, even the reference to my shortness and the setting of the microphone.